Good morning. Good morning. Thanks everybody for jumping on. Mazalfer, I am so stoked that you are here. I know Jesse's here.
Oh.
We've got a lot of things happening with our new tool, our app, and wins to share and techniques and things.
Perfect.
So I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
No problem. Jesse, I've got to run, but I want to jump on and say hello. Glad you're on.
Absolutely. I'm fired up for today's conversation.
Well, I'll tell you guys this. Listen, Fridays, some of you guys heard me on the Bronze and Above call talk about the breakdown of the week, right? So it went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then that's part one. Right now, you should be evaluating what happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're on part two, right? Part two is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday's part two, and then Monday morning, which Monday being Money Monday, Monday morning, you're going to burn from the bottom up, right? We talked about it on Tuesday on the Bronze and Above call. So today's the day that I hope all of you reevaluate, not really reevaluate, but just evaluate, right? Just look at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, how many presentations got done, what happened in my business, and therefore knowing exactly what you've got to go into for the weekend. Remember, we talked about doing more presentations would lead to more results for all of you. I know people are starting to really share the experience, which is fantastic. There are people that are religiously on, they've gotten 10 in play, they're on 2 a day, and they're doing it. But one thing that people are missing is converting that to a presentation and then converting that to a new customer or a new agent. And Jesse, I'm sure, is going to spend time on that today. And I know that he is going to light it on fire as he always does. Brother, I appreciate you. I know that, we always cover each other. It's been crazy on scheduling for all of us. So, brother, I'm going to turn it to you and everybody. I hope you have a fantastic Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And come Monday, guys, Monday, burn from the bottom up. Have the best Monday that you've ever had. Have the most incredible weekend. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Jesse Mack, our Crown Royale brother, thank you for being on. I'll turn it over to you, my friend.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Give me some Friday fingers. Friday fingers.
Happy
Friday.
Friday.
So
Friday.
it is it is going to be obviously a big weekend and coming out of Elevate. So there's a few things that are obviously happening. Things are moving very quickly. For those of you that the allure of the convention has faded off, the reason why is because you let your activity drop. So one of the things is this: if your activity is increasing, your momentum and your excitement is going to increase. So right now, if you're feeling a lull, it's time to spike that activity. It's time to get it up. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here today. But we did a training on Wednesday.
That was great, by the way.
Wednesday training on the app and our Share Secret app here. We're going to talk a little bit about this here today, but I highly recommend watching that training, watching the feedback of that training. Leah Johns, I think she's on here. Leah knocked it out of the park, talking about how to really follow up. So I actually want to go a little bit deeper into this subject, which is everybody's favorite F word: follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Everybody's favorite F word. So now, inside of network marketing, this is going to be one of the areas that is going to be your champion, or it's going to be your demise. I'm telling you right now, for those that I've seen that have earned big income inside of this profession, in any profession where, now I don't consider us in the same category as a lot of things in the world of sales necessarily, okay? But when it comes to building a network marketing business, we are in marketing. And so we do need to be following up with people. Now, in traditional cold market marketing versus warm market marketing, there's a whole different, or warm market, at least sales, you're going to have a lot of different pieces of things that as far as studying and following up. However, I do believe that studying sales and studying follow-up statistics, if I look at some of the statistics, right, that are out there, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this, because I think it's one of those things that some people, whether or not they've really looked at the numbers, I've seen people that have done a lot more what I would call exposures. And the reason why exposures are very comfortable, okay? But they're the beginning process of getting to an end result. And what we need to be doing is following up through those processes in order to get to the end result that we're really looking for inside of our business. Now, here's some statistics that you might find fascinating. So let me pull this up here for you guys real quick in case you guys don't have it or don't know. Here's some sales statistics, okay? So 48% of people never follow up with their prospect. Now, does that happen in network marketing? The answer is what? Yes. You guys know that there are people that are going to be sent a $10 experience pack that are never going to get a phone call from the person who sent it to them? You know how sad that is?
Sad.
You know what you're really doing, by the way, honestly? Like, I'm not even mad at the people who do that, because all of you that go plant seeds and then don't follow up with your people, I eat your lunch. So that's what happens. I end up reaping the harvest of the seeds that you have sown because you have been planting seeds in the marketplace and you left your crop. You didn't water and follow up on your crop. And what happens is now 10 years later, I'm getting literally a call every single day from somebody that did secret, used to do secret, did secret by somebody who stopped, quit, didn't show up, didn't stay consistent. They were like, man, I would love, I'm like, you know how many times I'm hearing right now? Yeah, the person introduced me, stopped doing it. And guess what? Now they're signing up with me. Why? Because I'm still here. Now, there's a staying power to this conversation, but we're going to focus on follow-up for today. 48% of people never follow up with prospect. 25% of people make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop.
Wow.
Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. This is huge. Okay. Now look at these numbers on the bottom. Only 2% of sales are made on the first contact, which means that 98%, I want you to just say it out loud, 98% of the actual results you're looking for in your business are not on first contact. Only 3% of sales are made after the second, 5% after the third, 10% after the fourth. But look at this bad boy right here. 80% of all of your sales will be made on the 5th to the 12th contact. Now, for some of you, I know you just went, oh, I am not following up enough. Now, here's the thing. Now, I remember hearing about this beginning. I was like, oh God, that means I just got to bother people all the time. If your mentality is you are bothering people, you will never win at this game. So that's why I said it's everybody's favorite F word is the word follow-up. The question is have you figured out how to make follow-up fun, or have you figured out a way to make follow-up frustrating? When you think of following up, is it a burden? Is it a burden to you? Are you like, oh my God, I gotta follow up. I gotta do that. I don't even know. I don't want to like, right? So do I feel like I'm bothering people? Do I feel like I'm pestering them? What do I feel like? Now, some of you guys, what you've been doing is bothering people. And what you've been doing is annoying. So the question isn't that follow-up is the problem. It's the way we're following up is the problem. How we're following up is the problem. Who we're being when we follow up is the problem, right? So this is one of those things that's going to be really important when it comes to building your business is figuring out how to make it a game. How many of you guys know like games are my big thing, right? If I don't like something, I figure out how to make it a game because I like games and I like winning and I hate losing. So I had to figure out early on in my career, I hated follow-up. Here's how much I know I hated follow-up. When I was doing first exposures and not follow-ups. Why? Because it was more fun. It's more fun to give a first exposure to somebody being like, hey, check this out. It wasn't as fun to follow up with them and then get a voicemail and then get a voicemail and then they didn't call and then they didn't show up to their appointment and then they didn't, and I was just like, How many of you guys have dealt with the frustration of follow-up by show of both hands? Unless you're driving, don't put up both hands. Okay. So by show of both hands, every single one of you, I know this is a sticking point, but guess what? Okay. Write this in your notes. Write this in your notes. Freedom, my freedom will be found in my ability to follow up. So you know what I'm doing? I'm following up on my freedom. So you know what I had to start doing? I started attaching my why. And what I started really looking at it was I started looking at it as treasure hunting. Write this down. I'm not following up. I'm treasure hunting. I know it sounds so silly, but for me, these are the things that I did. Now, some of you guys might think this kid is crazy, and you're right, but it worked for me. Okay? Now, this may not work for you. You might need to find your own strategies to turn this into a game. But if follow-up for you is something that every time you say it, you do a little gag reflex, and you're like, oh, you're like, oh God, I gotta keep doing, then winning at this game is going to be very difficult. Why? Because it is going to be one of the things you are going to do the most forever to be successful. It's kind of like burpees. They suck, don't they? But you just got to do them, right? So, I mean, you're like, oh God, like, I don't know anybody that's like, I love burpees. And the people that say they're liars. So now, but the results that you get from the mic is probably like, I love burpees. And I'm like, that's because you're a psycho. But when it comes to follow-up, you got to find a way for it to be engaging and fun. Now, please write this in your notes. Another part of your notes. I must schedule time to follow up. The beginning part of my business, I found exposing to be exciting. There was a little exhilaration of it, right? To get an exposure out there, to get an address to send it to somebody, right? You know what wasn't as exciting? Following up with the person 6 times to get them on the flipping phone. That wasn't as exciting. I know that's not enjoyable for any of us, but that's where the money is. The money is completing the exposure, okay? So what my goal was is to get to a yes or no, and there's magic in learning how to follow up consistently without being annoying. Okay. And sometimes it's a fine line. So, but write this down. Don't worry about being pushy. Worry about being poor. Now, one of the things I want you guys to get is this: we have to get rid of the idea or the concept, okay? That making up a story about what we think the prospect is doing and or thinking, okay? Right? So doing and or thinking. Kara just sent me a message. That sounds exciting. Let me see if I can find it. What the prospect is doing and or thinking based upon what it is that they have not done. How many of you guys have made up a story about your prospect? How many of you called somebody and then they didn't pick up? And you're like, oh, they must not be interested. How many of you guys have done this? Right? How many of you guys were like, when do I call them back? When do I text them back? Or I don't know if it's a good time, or I know they're super busy, or what they got going on, right? And then you message them or whatever it is, and they don't get back to them. And we make up a story that they might not be interested, okay? One of the things you got to do is this: until somebody tells you they're not interested, assume they're interested. Write this in your notes. Unless they tell me they are uninterested, I assume they're interested. Good example. Okay. You call me about Secret. I think Secret's amazing. You believe, how many of you guys believe that Secret products, everybody should have them on their body and in their body? How many of you guys believe that? Like genuinely, and I don't mean any like hyper BS or that, I think, like genuinely, whether you got paid or not, how many of you guys agree people need to have hydrogen inside of their body? Like whether you were compensated, by the way, if you uncompensate yourself, this might be easier for you, right? If you think you're not going to get paid, you'd probably be more successful, some of you. It's because you get weird in the middle, right? So, but when it comes to following up, we genuinely believe that the people, so if I'm somebody and you genuinely believe, okay, that you have enough excitement to say, Jesse, I'm super excited. I need your address. I want to send you a gift so you can experience these world-class products for yourself. Perfect. Great. I don't know to be that excited about it because I'm not as excited about you. I don't know what they're like, okay? You send them to me. I'm going to get this experience in the mail. Let's say it comes in today. It comes in tomorrow, okay? How many of you guys are busy? Okay. How many guys, when people call you, you aren't able to answer the phone the first time they call? Like 90% of the time. So I want you to be on the other end of what happens to you most of the time. If you get something in the mail and somebody calls you, you can't answer because you're busy, because you're at work, you're at school, you're watching the kids, you're in the shower, you're whatever, okay? Does it mean that you were uninterested in the package that arrived at your door? No, you don't even know about the package that arrived at your door. But how many of you, the minute you call them and they don't answer, when you know the package arrived, they're like, oh, they're avoiding me. They're avoiding it. They don't like it. It's MLM. They hate MLM. I knew it. Right? We got to get rid of the story. We got to. We can't make it up. Because I used to be really good at making it up. I had like whole scenarios painted out for everyone, as to why it is they were not going to be interested, because their spouse, blah, blah, blah. And he went to school, so he's probably going to have an objection about it and yada, 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 right? So people are busy. Here's what I have found out. The reason people pick up the 4th time you call is because they missed the other 3 calls. The reason they answer the 4th call is not because you called 4 times. The reason they answer the 4th call is because you missed everything. How many of you guys had somebody call you? You were busy. You couldn't answer. You got your phone. You're like, I missed a call from Lisa. Damn, I need to get back to Lisa. But you're in the middle of your day. You can't call Lisa back because you're busy. You got kids. You got school. You got whatever you got going on. Then all of a sudden, you forget about it. Life goes on. Most people are living in the moment day to day. In fact, most people are behind the schedule of all their days. And that's how most people live. They're not living in a calendar. They're not living out of a management system. That's how most people are living their lives. And so 3 days later, I get a phone call from Lisa and I'm busy. I'm not available and I miss it. And I get out of the shower and I was like, oh shit, I missed Lisa's call again. I missed Lisa's call. Oh God, I got to call Lisa back, but I can't call her back right now because then it's going to be a conversation. And I know I got to talk to her about that thing and I got to set up that time because I know that's what she wants to do. Okay, I got it. And I move on with my day. And then Lisa calls me again. By the time Lisa rings on my phone the 3rd time, here's why I pick it up. Because I missed the other 2. The reason you get the appointment on the 3rd or 4th phone call is because you call 3 or 4 times. Is that annoying? Yes. But is it part of the business? Yes. So you know what I just anticipate? I mentally figured this out a long time ago. So I just said, it is what it is. So Jim Rohn says it best. Why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? It's just the way it is. I wouldn't sign up for that class. Don't spend much time on that, right? So why does the sun rise in the east, set in the west? Just happens. Happens every day. Right? Why do people not pick up for the 4th phone call? Just the way it is. So you know what I got used to doing? Every time I was doing my follow-ups, I would do my follow-ups, assuming I have to call them 3 times before they answer. And if they picked up before the 3rd time, I was like, what happened? Like I would get shocked if they answered off the first call. So I just mentally started preparing for this. So I started educating my expectations. And once I fell in love with follow-up, as almost a game of treasure hunting to see when they were going to finally pick up and follow up. Now, here's the thing. If the person on the other end feels, remember, feeling gets translated with what we're doing, right? If the person on the other end feels like you feel like you're bothersome, you've already lost in your follow-up. I don't feel like I'm bothering them. I feel like I'm finally getting them to take a look at something that could completely change their life. Do you know what recovery will do in somebody's body for the next 5, 10 years? Or what would happen without recovery in their body for the next 5 or 10 years? That's probably likely to happen if they don't make sure and make some changes in their lifestyle. I have an opportunity to save some people from a lot of pain. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about because you guys have seen these. So when I'm following up with people, it's almost like I'm treasure hunting through a surprise. Now, if I get a chance to pull this down, I think I've got it here if I can. Share and open and download. Okay. But when you are download, right. When we're following up with people, when do you follow up? How often do you follow up? So messages, text messages, okay? Messaging is a pretty good time. So what I want to do is I want to make the follow-up convenient for the person I'm following up with. And I don't want them to feel like it's a burden for them. The minute I'm making them feel like it's a burden for them, I don't care how many times I have to follow up with somebody before I just let go of the frustration. Just everyone do me a favor, take a deep breath and let it go. We're going to do one of these again, except for this time you're going to let it out. You're going to let it out with a deep moan. Ready? Like, ready? 1, 2, 3. Let it out, deep moan. You're just going to call until they're available. That's it. We're going to let that go. We're going to let go of the frustration of the fact that the majority of the time they're not answering. And that just became a part of my rhythm and my cycle. So when I'm calling, setting an appointment, if I'm following up with Lisa, I say, hey, Lisa, so I know you're super busy, so when can we squeeze this in that's convenient for you, 5 minutes around your busy schedule? Can we do it at this time or this time? Listen, Lisa, I know you got a million things going on. Now, I know you could say you too. Yeah, well, I got a million things going on, so blah, blah, blah. But how many times if somebody texts you, be like, hey, I'm really busy, make sure people are like, whatever. Yeah, me too. So remember, we're trying to find a way to fit into their world so they can see. Also remember is in the way that they see the information, the way that they feel about how they were prospected is how they're going to think about how they have to do the business. All right. So as I'm following up, this is one of those things that's going to be really, 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 really important to following up. So messaging. If I don't get a response, so here's what I normally do in my messages and my follow-up, and here's been my follow-up strategy for 18 years. It's worked pretty good, is when to follow up with no response. So write this in your notes, when to follow up with no response. And when to follow up with no response is double the days. Okay. When to follow up with no response is double the days. So when I'm following up with somebody and I'm trying to figure out when they get a response, when I'm following up with doubling the days is if I message them today and there's no response, I'm going to follow up with them in 2 days. If I follow up with them in 2 days and they don't respond, I'm going to follow up with them in how many days? 4 days. If I follow up with them in 4 days and they don't respond, I'm going to follow up with them in what? 8 days. Now, this is a general rule of follow-up that has just allowed me, and this is more so for lukewarm market or new prospects or people that you're following up with. With your best friends, it's going to be a little different, and I'm going to tell you some ways that I followed up with my best friends to help relieve some of that follow-up tension, okay? Because how many guys have had follow-up tension with people or with somebody, right? So we're going to talk about relieving a little bit of the follow-up tension, but double the days, number one. Now, do I call or do I text? For me, I alternate call to text. Call, text. Call, text, call, text, call, text. Double the days, alternating between calling and texting. That is a very simple method for following up and when to follow up. So, and how long do you follow up with? Till they respond. Okay. I had a guy that I followed up with. It was hilarious. He was out of Oklahoma. I'll never forget. He worked. It was a mechanic, and I got him as a lead from a lead source that I bought a long time ago. And I got a hold of him, and he was like, he was a nice guy, and we got into a conversation about business and life. And he was like, "Nah, it's not for me right now." I was like, "Okay, great." So, how do you end when somebody says they're not interested or not interested now? Please write this in your notes. These are gems. Is it okay if I keep you informed? What I have found, it is 99 out of 100 times people say yes. That allows you to keep the door open. Leah says, hey, it's just not for me. Yeah, it's just not my thing. I say, that's cool, Leah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate evaluating it. Obviously, if you know anybody, I'm going to talk about referrals in a quick sec. If you know anybody, yada, 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 yada. But is it okay if I keep you informed as to what's going on? And most of the time, Leah will be like, yeah, no problem. And now I've got a door opener. Now, how do I keep Leah informed? Well, if I talk to Leah about our skincare, now I might call up and say, hey, Leah, by the way, I don't know if you're into travel, but we actually just launched a brand new travel club that has a whole lot of lifestyle benefits for it. Okay. And I would love to keep you informed. I just wanted to keep you informed as to what we're doing. Here, if I sent this over to you, you check it out, take a look. Just wanted to keep you informed. I just wanted to keep you informed. Hey, our company's actually expanding into Australia. Do you happen to know anybody in Australia? I remember you saying that you were there. Just wanted to keep you informed. Okay. So with my follow-up, but through this, double the days, change between phone calls and that. The next piece is this. If somebody I know closely to relieve the tension, okay? So write this down, use some humor. Break the ice. Humor is one of the best ways to break the ice. If Tammy is my friend and Tammy's a dear friend of mine, and I've known Tammy, and Tammy and I talk a lot, and all of a sudden we got in this weird exposure tension, right? Which happens, right? I sent Tammy the products, and all of a sudden I call Tammy, and Tammy normally always calls me back, and Tammy's now not calling me back. And Tammy's a friend of mine. So what I'm going to do is I am going to point out the tension. Point out the tension. Tammy, listen, I feel like you've been avoiding me for the last 5 days. I hope this has nothing to do with the stuff I sent you. I just want to catch up with you as a friend. Call me back. Okay? If somebody doesn't respond to me for a while, I will send them a message being like, hey, just want to make sure you haven't been kidnapped, haven't heard from you a few days. Please respond with a thumbs up. Let me know you're okay. That one works pretty much almost all the time, by the way. Hey, I'm worried about you. I just want to make sure you haven't been kidnapped. If you've been kidnapped, please text pizza emoji. Something fun where they can just respond back. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure you're alive. Okay, bye. And then don't go into a pitch. Just let it be a part of the conversation. Okay? So these were all things that I started doing along the way for me to really kind of look at how was I going to be following up with people? How was I going to be introducing people to the process of what we're doing? Here's what I wanted people to do. I wanted people to have an experience of our products. I wanted them to see how excited they were. Like, dang, Jesse's been following with you 4 or 5 times with it. And every time he's just super happy. He's super excited about it. Right? Man, there must be something to this. I want you to be that person that people go, listen, I don't know what she's on, but I need to get on that. Maybe these products are that good because she seems happy all the time. And man, I haven't felt like that in a long time. Okay.
Well,
So when it comes to follow-ups is this, okay? Follow-ups are your friends. Follow-ups are your friends. Fortune is in your follow-up. You can talk about it a whole lot of different ways. But how many of you, when I started this conversation, the words of like follow-up, you're not like, oh, my favorite topic, right? Usually follow-ups are the area. It's easier and more exciting to do first exposures than to do the 5th phone call that someone hasn't answered. But the first exposure doesn't make you any money, or it makes you 2% of the money. The 5th phone call that you finally get a hold of that person, follow up to find out their interest level and to move them to the next exposure, that's where the money is. So when people talk about our profession, and I get angry when people talk about network marketing negatively. How many of you guys are like that, right? When they talk about this industry, right? And I turn into like, network marketing defender man, because I'm like, because I want to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. And they give statistics of how much money people make or how much most distributors come in and they spend more than they make. And what they don't realize is how many people like join Secret and spend $49 to get our products cheaper because they're smart, because they're going to buy products all year long, that are not people that are actually building a business, that show up as distributors. Like, that's my dad. My dad hasn't done anything in Secret, but he's not dumb. He's going to buy the products for as cheap as possible, right? So there's all these statistics. I'm not even going to go through those. However, this is the area where the average network marketer that comes into our profession, the reason why they don't make the amount of income they deserve to make for the work that they're putting in is because they're going around dropping seeds and then leaving the field. They don't reap the harvest of their work. And why? Because it's work. Follow-ups work. It's not sexy. I'm telling you what, follow-up, it ain't sexy. So find a way for you to turn your frustration of follow-ups into fortune hunting follow-ups. understand the expectations that you're going to go through that majority of people aren't going to answer. And I don't even expect them to. When they answer the first time I call and we get into a conversation, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like I'm even more excited. Because I know that is not the norm. I know that I'm going to probably follow up with somebody 4 or 5 times before we actually get anywhere. And that is part of the business. But here's what's exciting. I connected my freedom to follow-ups. And when I connected freedom to follow-ups, follow-ups equal freedom, follow-ups equal freedom, follow-ups equal freedom. Then all of a sudden the game became, how do I follow up with more people? Not how do I expose more people? The purpose of the exposure was to lead to enough follow-up so I can get to a yes or a no. So I could get to a maybe kind of. So I can get to I'm thinking about it. Now, why is this so drastically important, this conversation right now? So many people, for the first time, we have made the exposure and the experience to see secret easier than ever before. With our ATM groups, our ad tag message groups, where you can just add people, tag them, and message them inside of a Facebook group on a video. And with our exposure system now, with our app, it has made it easier than ever before. But if you think for 1 second you're just going to blitz the market and spend and throw out all these $10 and magically all these people are going to sign up in your business, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. But if you follow up and follow through with that, okay, and find a way for this to be in and to enjoy that process. So I'm going to be really hitting this hard over the course of these next few weeks. So the question is right now is this: are you more excited about the first exposure, or are you more excited about following up with somebody that you've already exposed? I want you to be more excited about following up with somebody you've exposed than someone you first exposing, because you're more likely to get to income from your 3rd, 4th, 5th exposure than you are from your first exposure. Now, you got to be doing the exposures, but we got to fall in love with the follow-up process. So that's it for today. I'm beating a dead horse. I've talked about it over and over and over. But I want every single one of you guys to go right now. Who do you need to follow up with right now? I can think of it. I can think of so many people right now. I'm like, oh my God. And you know what? All I've been thinking about is, who am I going to send my next experience to? Which is good. I've been thinking about who I need to send my next experience to. But I really need to be going, who's the person I need to be following up with that I need to schedule that appointment with? I need to schedule that presentation with. I need to make sure that I follow up with them. And I haven't, because I talked to them 3 times and I made up a story because I left them 3 messages. They're not interested. Until they tell you they're not interested, assume they're interested, but they just don't know. That's it for today, guys. Let's make today a spectacular day. Let's Friday follow-ups. Okay, whatever it is, it's Fortune Friday follow-ups. I don't know. I just make up weird stuff all the time as we go through this weekend. And we'll be back on our huddles over the course of this next week. I can't wait to see you guys. And I'm getting married in 8 days. So that's kind of cool. So
congratulations.
Yeah. See how that goes. So by the way, I had to follow up on that one for that recruit. That was a very good recruit. So there was a lot of following up on that. I'm telling you guys right now, like, thank God I learned network marketing skills. So because there was some major fortune in that follow-up. Holy shnikes. I can tell you what, I was a hard no. I was a no. You are a no. You are a no for a little while. But here's what happened. I kept following up, being super weird. She's like, you're weird, but you're different. I think, I don't know. I don't understand, but I'm curious as to why you're different. So I'm going to keep, and then you weasel your way in there, and then they like you. And then when they like you, you recruit them. Network marketing. Okay. So,
you recruited a spouse. We won't tell her you recruited her like a network marketer.
Oh, she knows. She's like, that's how you got me. And I was like, yeah, of course. Come on. So I was like, aren't you grateful? It worked. It worked, didn't it?
Yes,
So, okay. So anyway, I can't wait for you to meet her at boot camp. For everybody at boot camp, for those of you guys that haven't had a chance to meet my wife to be, but more importantly is this: let's go find you. There's aces out there that are dying to get into secret and they don't know about it. So let's go follow up, and re-listen to this training every single week if you need a reminder of it. But make sure you schedule in your follow-ups. Don't just schedule in your exposures. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.